Check, check. My name is Catalina Pozos, and I am the booker for the Ballroom in Austin. I started using Prism summer of 2021 when Resound took up Prism as a promoter rep for them when we came back after the pandemic. I was really surprised to see that the spreadsheets had been phased out and been replaced with Prism, so I immediately got trained up on that by Andrew. I was a STEM kid in college, so I always felt really comfortable with spreadsheets, and I loved the formulas that went into them. I never had too much of a hatred for spreadsheets, which I knew a lot of my coworkers really didn't like that. When I was showed Prism, it was undeniably way easier and simpler. And having had the spreadsheet background and understanding definitely helped me get into Prism a little bit easier. Just because I couldn't see the math anymore, I still felt like I trusted it. It's definitely easier to just make a template and then run with it. When I came into the Ballroom as just a calendar manager at first, we were using Google Calendar. Since we were reaching out to national promoters and trying to get these national tours, we were getting a lot of holds, which when Ballroom was only doing local shows and comedy shows, that never really came into play. Immediately, Google Calendar just wasn't working anymore. Holds are so timely for everyone that we wanted to give all our promoters just access to our Google Calendar, but then they lose the anonymity and other promoters know they have the same holds, etc. So that wasn't really a solution either. As soon as we reached out to get Third String and Resound in this room, we couldn't give anyone an advantage. I really wanted to keep Ballroom really neutral as far as working with different promoters. So I wanted everyone to have the same advantages. And I knew of shared holds from my work with Resound, and it was the best solution for us. And it immediately solved everyone's problems and took a lot of work off of me, because now I wasn't answering hold requests every day and checking which holds were still current. And that's honestly been the most helpful part for me as the venue manager. My job of filling in the gaps is so much easier because there's less gaps. It helps us keep our calendar full, and it also has brought in new audiences into this room that we wouldn't have done otherwise. We're surprisingly really present in the metal and hardcore community here. That was a surprise for me, at least when I joined in. Jam bands, that was a new thing for us. We've also had more hip hop shows. I feel like this room is just so welcoming to so many different sounds. When I do put together a whole lineup on my own now, it feels a little bit more special. And I also feel like I could be a little bit less repetitive with the local shows I book. During last hour of the show, that's when I go in and I make sure that everything on the template is relevant to that specific show. And it has all the costs we could possibly have. Make sure my tickets are synced. If I'm settling with a touring band, and usually I'll send them my settlement while the band is still on stage, and that usually helps them look it over before we talk about it. If it is a tour manager, they usually want to look at it with me. By that point, my settlement is done, and we just have the PDF pulled up, and then that's it. I write my little check, and we go home. I like that you can't even really see the settlement unless you export that PDF. That kind of saves me from making mistakes. 'Cause sometimes I would just want to turn my laptop around and be like, here's my spreadsheet. And then they go and touch it themselves and mess up your formulas. And then it's a whole thing. So I like that that's not an option anyway. I would encourage them to talk to other people who are using Prism. As having been a promoter rep for different promoters, I've definitely seen different ways to use the platform. And then as the venue, it's helped me in completely different ways now, managing my calendar. It definitely pays off to play around with it and think of what you could be doing that you maybe just haven't thought about. For a while, we were tracking our bar sales completely separately before we decided to put all that together. So really giving Prism a chance to show us everything it can take care of really has paid off here. So. Settling with Prism for sure. Yeah, 100%.